centers and have told voters to stay away. Wary authorities have placed an uneasy Kabul under partial lockdown, flooding streets with troops and banning trucks from entering the city in an effort to stop would-be suicide bombers attacking the electoral process. One voter at a polling station in Kabul High School said it was important to cast a ballot. The capital's traffic, often gridlocked, dropped to a trickle as schools and offices closed for the day and as many people chose to stay off the roads. Some 9.6 million Afghans are registered to vote, but many have lost any hope that after 18 years of war, any leader can unify the fractious country and improve basic living conditions, boost a stagnating economy, or bolster security. Several of the 18 original contenders have dropped out, and the poll is considered a two-horse race between current President Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah Abdullah, the country's chief executive. Both claimed victory in the 2014 election, a vote so tainted by fraud and violence that it led to a constitutional crisis and forced then U.S. President Barack Obama to push for a compromise that saw Abdullah awarded the subordinate role. Voting in Afghanistan's fourth presidential election began at 7 a.m. at some 5,000 polling centers across the country. Authorities had initially planned to open hundreds more, but were unable to owing the abysmal security situation. Campaigning was hampered by violence from the first day, when Ghani's returning mate was targeted in a bomb and gun attack that left at least 20 dead. Bloody attacks have continued to rock Afghanistan, including a Taliban bombing at a Ghani rally last week that killed at least 26 people in the central province of Parwan near Kabul. The Interior Ministry says 72,000 forces will help to secure polling stations. Stefan Dujarric, spokesman for UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, said any acts of violence against the electoral process, including attacks directed at polling centers, polling staff, and voters, are unacceptable. Election officials say this will be the cleanest election yet, held with equipment such as biometric fingerprint readers and better training for poll workers to ensure the vote is fair. Still, the U.S. Embassy in Kabul has said it is disturbed by so many complaints about security, lack of an equal playing field, and fraud, and many Afghans say they have no intention of voting, citing fraud and security fears. Saturday's poll was initially slated to take place in April, but was twice delayed because election workers were ill-prepared, and the U.S. was leading a push to forge a withdrawal agreement with the Taliban. That deal has been scuppered for now, after U.S. President Donald Trump pulled out. Swiss chocolatier Barry Callebaut unveiled a new formulation that packs in the parts of the cocoa fruit it is used to toss away, taking aim at younger generations. As modern consumers seek whole grains, less sugar, more nutrients, and less harm to the environment, one of the world's biggest chocolate makers is playing to the trend with products based on a recipe using 100% of the cocoa fruit, not just the seeds.
Pourquoi n'utilise-t-on que les pépins du fruit et jette-t-on le reste du fruit? Ça ne fait aucun sens, ça fait aucun sens d'un point de vue d'environnement, ça fait aucun sens d'un point de vue économique. Donc on s'est intéressé à ces 70% qui étaient jetés pour savoir ce qu'on pouvait en faire. Et on a découvert un univers extraordinaire d'applications et de possibilités en matière de boissons, en matière de snacking, en matière de boulangerie.
Products in line were pitched as rich in nutrients while not wasting any of the cocoa used to make chocolate, which was long derived from just the beans. Typically, 70% of cocoa fruit is discarded as waste while making chocolate, according to Callebaut. Cocoa fruit experiences products promised to pack in the entire fruit, from beans to peels, pulp and juice.
Fruit du cacao. Le sucre provient du fruit, de la pulpe du fruit. La structure vient avec les fibres qui sont contenus dans la cabosse de cacao, donc dans le fruit de cacao. Le goût vient bien sûr des fèves de cacao. Donc c'est un chocolat qui est fait uniquement 100% à partir du fruit.
Callebaut chief executive Antoine de Saint-Affrique said the company was looking forward to many offerings based on its new recipe.
It's just crazy that they didn't put any sugar on it. So.
Mondela's international-backed snack futures will be the first to introduce cocoa fruit experiences in consumer products, in smoothie and jerky products, initially debuting in Los Angeles shops, according to Callebaut. Whole fruit chocolate made of 100% cocoa was slated to hit chef and artisan markets early next year. Chocolate has lost some of its appeal in developed markets, where it faces competition from foods perceived as more healthy. The cost of cocoa, meanwhile, has put pressure on profits. Callebaut last year introduced a new ruby chocolate, with its client Nestle launching Kit Kat bars in Japan and South Korea coated in pink chocolate. The pink color is obtained naturally from ruby cocoa, explained Akiko Hara, a manager for Barry Callebaut in Japan. Meanwhile, Nestle in July announced the creation of a chocolate made entirely from cocoa beans and pulp, with no refined sugar added. Callebaut is a supplier of chocolate to Nestle, Hershey, Unilever, and Mondela's.
I'm a dark chocolate person, and I think this went 100 times more than a regular, even very good dark chocolate. So.
Colombian craftsman Nicolas Milano immortalizes cyclist and current Tour de France champion Egan Bernal on wood, although Bernal's image in tears went around the world after his victory in the Tour. This master craftsman preferred to carve his smile forever.
Yo le miro su gesto, le miro su perfil, voy entrándome como en la parte íntima de ellos, como sintiéndolos a ellos en el momento en que están. O sea, ya eso es una parte como emotiva, y eso es lo que yo busco a plasmar luego que hago la talla en la madera como tal. Yo admiro a los ciclistas colombianos, la berraquera, el tesón que tienen, que se caen, se levantan y vuelven y arrancan, como somos los colombianos en general, que por complejas que sean las cosas, resolvemos y seguimos adelante. Bueno, cuando yo plasmo en la talla, yo le llamo sacarle el alma a la madera. Eso es un sentimiento que despierta cuando las personas que toman la obra como tal o la miran, es un cariño, es un amor que sienten hacia la figura que está plasmada. Tenerlo terminado se siente la felicidad al verlo parecido. Lo tengo cerca, la verdad lo tengo cerca, es como si estuviera con él un poco. Y pues sería más placentero que él lo viera, se viera a sí mismo y a ver qué opinión tiene.
Canadians joined the thousands of people around the world who are marching against climate change as part of the global strike led by Greta Thunberg, a Swedish activist. Eagle News correspondent Ansel Morano with a report.
On Friday, September 27, 2019, thousands of people showed up on the streets of downtown Vancouver to join the global climate strike happening in hundreds of countries around the world. Workplaces and schools encouraged and supported employees and students to take part in this historical event that aims to put pressure on the government to take action on climate change. The streets of Vancouver were filled with people of all ages, along with their placards to show their protest in the government's inaction to climate change. The global climate strike was inspired by Swedish teen Greta Thunberg's protest against climate change. The global climate strike gained momentum as youth all over the world recognize that their future is being threatened by climate change. In Vancouver, protesters joined to be part of a historical event, but also to be part of the force that hopes to gain the attention of the government enough to move them to action. Ansel Morano, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Up next, Greta Thunberg marches in Montreal for global climate protests. The Columbus Crew goes against the Vancouver Whitecaps in the MLS playoffs. The Vancouver Canucks plays against the Arizona Coyotes at the Canucks preseason. This is Eagle News.
Mga kamag-anak, kaibigan at kababayan po namin sa Middle East and North Africa, masayang balita ang hatid po namin sa inyo. Ang Net25 ay makakasama nyo na sa inyong mga tahanan. Mapapanood nyo na ang inyong mga paboritong programa sa pamamagitan ng OSN, ang pinakamalaking entertainment network sa buong rehiyon. Sa Channel 725, maihahatid na namin sa inyo ang mga pangunahing balita at mahahalagang impormasyon. Kaya makisaya, makisalo tuwing umaga at panoorin ang mga programa ng mga hinahangaang celebrities and OPM artists, same day as the Philippines. You can also watch Net25 live and on demand anytime, anywhere on any mobile device on OSN Play. Kaya tawag na sa OSN to learn more on how to get Net25. Sa Net25 on OSN, siguradong at home ka dito.
Events happen around us all the time, in our community, in our country, around the world.
You're watching Eagle News. Teen activist Greta Thunberg urged Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and other worldly leaders to do more for the environment as she led 500,000 protesters in Montreal as part of a global wave of climate strikes.
So today, we are millions around the world striking and marching again, and we will keep on doing it until they listen.
The 16-year-old Swede met privately with Trudeau, but later told a news conference with local Indigenous leaders that he was not doing enough to curb greenhouse gases responsible for global warming.
We have been told so many times that there's no point in doing this, that we won't have an impact anyway, that we can't have an impact and make a difference. I think we have proven that to be wrong by now.
Thunberg generated headlines around the world earlier this week with her viral so-called "How Dare You" speech at the UN Climate Summit, accusing world leaders of betraying her generation.
We are not communicating our opinions or political views. The climate and ecological crisis is beyond party politics. We are communicating the current best available science.
The teen has inspired millions of youngsters drawn to her cause by her passion in a mature, committed rhetorical style, articulated in near-perfect English that belies her young age. Trudeau and other Canadian party leaders took a breather from a tight election campaign to join Thunberg at the Montreal rally, along with around 500,000 protesters, according to organizers. Walking with his wife and children, Trudeau mingled with a boisterous crowd that brandished placards reading "Respect Mother Earth" and "Make America Greta Again," a riff on a campaign slogan popularized by U.S. President and noted climate skeptic Donald Trump.
They say we shouldn't worry, that we should look forward to a bright future. But they forget that if they would have done their job, we wouldn't need to worry. If they had started acting in time, then this crisis wouldn't be the crisis it is today. We are not in school today. You are not at work today. Because this is an emergency. And we will not be bystanders.
In sports, the Columbus Crew gives their all in a game against the Vancouver Whitecaps at the MLS playoffs. Eagle News correspondent Zolti Horvath with a report.
The Columbus Crew were eliminated from the playoffs after a 1-1 draw with the Vancouver Whitecaps. The Crew capitalized on the Whitecaps' mistakes with Columbus striker Jazzy Zardes scoring on a penalty shot. However, the Whitecaps never gave up and scored a 94th-minute goal by Freddie Montero to tie the game. For the second game in a row, Montero scored to steal valuable points from the opposition in the standings. He talks about why he continues to fight until the last whistle and his experience with the last place Whitecaps this season.
Yes, that's soccer. During my whole career, I learned that you need to keep working. I'm a type of forward that I need the ball into the box. That's what I can show my best. And the last two games was only one play each game that where I feel confident enough to score those goals. I have never been in MLS with a team that it's out of the playoffs that far, even when I was here in 2017. So I'm learning, of course, at the age of 30 plus, you know. We need to continue believing in the process and knowing that Whitecaps next year have to come with a different mentality and different approach in the game.
The goal from Montero came on the final play of the match, and the Columbus Crew were eliminated from playoff contention with the draw. Manager Caleb Porter voiced his frustration after the late goal.
Really disappointing. Season was on the line. We're up 1-0. 10 seconds to go. We need to put the ball in the stands. These are simple things that you have to do to win games, and we do the wrong things, and it's cost us the season, honestly. If we could see a game out this year, we'd be in the playoffs. Anytime we went forward, we could have scored a goal, honestly, and we didn't. And so what do you say? At the very least, we should have seen the game out at the end. I mean, the game was done, right? The referees were waiting to blow the whistle. We have to, put the ball in the stands, we have to foul, we have to put pressure on the cross, we have to obviously pick up one of the most lethal strikers in the league, always has been, and we don't do any of those things, and it's not the first game. And to be honest with you, I just thought overall we should have played better, especially against a team that really had nothing to play for.
Both Whitecaps and Crew have been eliminated from playoff contention and will now focus on finishing the season on a positive note.
Schulte Horvath, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
With the NHL regular season fast approaching, the Vancouver Canucks hosted the Arizona Coyotes at Rogers Arena for the final time in the preseason. Eagle News correspondent Anthony Sevilla with a report.
A late push in the third period was not enough for the Canucks, as the Coyotes secured the 4-2 victory on the road against the Canucks at Rogers Arena on Thursday night. With the Coyotes down 2-1 after the first period, back-to-back goals by Victor Soderstrom and Barrett Hayton in the second period was enough to secure the win.
Vancouver picked it up in the third period, but it was too late for a Canucks comeback. Their offensive woes lingered the entire night, as they were only able to put 19 shots on net. Arizona outshot Vancouver 35-19. Canucks all-star forward Elias Pettersson finished with an assist and a shot on goal. He shared his thoughts on the team's play after the game.
I think we started okay. Second period is not good. They won every battle. We were on our heels. And third period they started better, but we made a push at the end and almost scored. I hit one in the post, and we had great chances, but we couldn't score. But
newly signed Canucks defenseman Tyler Myers mentioned how beneficial the preseason was in order to prepare for the NHL regular season.
You know, exhibition's always good to get your speed up. You know, I think it takes a few games for any player to get up to speed, and you know, I thought for the most part we had a pretty good preseason as a group, and we want to make sure we have a good next 5 days here getting ready for game one.
Canucks forward Adam Gaudette continued to impress everyone in the final game of the preseason, contributing with an assist. His 4 goals are tied for league lead amongst all NHL players. Gaudette was asked about his time during the preseason and the likelihood of cracking the Canucks roster on opening night.
I think that's all anyone could ask for is if I just left it all out there and gave it all I had, and you know, I feel as though I did that, and you know, I feel pretty confident where my game's at right now. Just wait, I guess. Whatever happens, happens.
The preseason schedule for the Canucks finally came to a close, as head coach Travis Green and his staff will have a big decision in the next week, making his final roster cuts. Arizona will travel to Anaheim for their final preseason game against the Ducks. Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Up next, the 44th Annual Toronto International Film Festival. End of summer fun at the P&E in Vancouver. You're watching Eagle News.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows on OSN channel 725, same day as the Philippines.
Net25 is now available on OSN, the largest entertainment network in the Middle East and North Africa.
Watch your favorite Net25 shows live
and on demand anytime, anywhere on
any mobile device on OSN Play.
What we call Spa DPS, one of the most famous landmarks here in Stavanger, Norway. And if you want to see more of the tourist spots like this, just tune into Digital Nest every Tuesday and Thursday, 7:30 p.m. I am Managing Mejia.